Alright, welcome back to Shadowrun. Last time in, even though it was episode 18, we might have done what was intended to be our first side quest. The smash and grab at the archaeological dig. And, as a result, Kindly Cheng has something to say to me. And everything stopped moving for a second there, that was weird. Oh, Cheng? Oh, the whole gang's here. Guess I don't have to fetch them. And I've got my new crazy monk garb. If you didn't see that last episode, I got new armor. It gives me a nice 8 defense. I mean, it makes me look, it really exposes the tattoos. Or scales? I'm not sure. Hello, Kindly Cheng. Kindly Cheng is in the midst of emptying 2 plastic shopping bags when you enter. She places their contents in a pile on her mahjong table, 2 liquor bottles without labels, and a box of thin black cigars. An assortment of individually wrapped gourmet chocolates and a large caliber pistol with electrical tape wrapped around its grip. Ah, there you are. You're here. She finishes with the plastic bags and throws them on the floor. It seems like forever since we saw each other. You said you had information to share in person. Here I am. Her voice is filled with a rusty energy. Yes, my darling, yes. I met with several contacts within my network who referred me to others in the neighboring cities. Regardless of how far the technology moves forward, tradition demands that some things are handled face to face. I have returned with information that will lead you to the plastic-faced man, the man who killed Raymond Black. Excellent. While you were gone, we uncovered a relationship between Josephine Sang and Raymond Black. The triad woman's eyes narrow. Did you? And what was it you uncovered? The man who raised us isn't Raymond Black. He's Edward Sang, the son of Josephine Sang. You were raised by Josephine's son? Her brow furrows. That explains where Edward went when he had disappeared years ago. Seattle. Any idea why he disappeared? No. Just that he went missing after Josephine completed rebuilding the walled city. That was in the early 30s. Her face twists into a mask of disgust. You realize what this means, don't you, my sweet? That inbred little goat whore was cold enough to have her own son executed. Your turn. You did your out-of-town networking. Oh, did your out-of-town networking produce the results you were looking for? Oh yes, exactly the results I was looking for. She grabs a bottle and opens it. I know the identity of the plastic-faced man. His name is Li Tai Lung, and he's an independent contractor, a trusted, deniable asset who handles all of Josephine Sang's more delicate operations off the books and away from the public eye. The plastic-faced man is her shadowy right hand outside of the corporation. Cheng doesn't bother with the glass. She takes a long pull from the stinking bottle and wipes her mouth with the back of her hand. And I know how to find him, too. I've made contact with the information broker, Xiao Zi, who works out of an abandoned night market in Shep Ki Mei, called the Xing House Court. It's not hard to find. She takes another pull of the bottle. Xiao Zi has gained access to the plastic-faced man's complete itinerary, where he'll be, who he'll be with, and what sort of security he'll have. The works. She grins, glassy-eyed. You can see it you can use it to perform an extraction. Grab him and find out what he knows. Did you find out why Lee has a face made of plastic? It's not just his face. Li Tai Lung's entire skull is synthetic. He designed himself to be the perfect corporate operative. He has installed a unique piece of headwear, you see. It allocates and compartmentalizes client-related memories so that they can be erased upon the completion of a job. And as an added security measure, this cortical implant will wipe his memory if it detects that he's been captured. Seriously, he can just wipe out everything having to do with Sang Mechanical Services. It's all part of his branding, apparently. Unless you can find a way around that cortical implant, you'll have no way to extract the information he has and find out what happened to Raymond Black. She circles the mouth of the bottle with her index finger. Now, I've done my part in this, my darling. You need to find a way to neutralize that device. Isabel interjects, her voice breaking slightly as she speaks. I know a way. I've heard of something like this before. I met someone in the Matrix who has who had to shrink a similar memory wipe implant once. It was a requirement for a big job, and she pulled it off. Keep talking. Her name is Dreamland, and I know where to find her. All we have to do is convince her to give up the secret on how she did it. Okay. Isabel and I will go to Dreamland before we hit the information broker. Then we grab the plastic-faced man. No matter who you choose to help you snatch this guy, I'm gonna be there when you extract the information about him from him about Raymond Black. Wu crosses his arms across his chest and tilts his head towards you. You got that, Grotto? We should all be there. Gobbet's eyebrows arch high. I know I want to see this. Very good, my darlings. Now listen to me. After you get what you need from the plastic-faced man, I want you to end him. You understand? The Triad boss taps the table with her finger. I need to send a very clear message that this is what happens when you mess with Kindly Cheng's operations, with Kindly Cheng's people. Josephine takes Nightjar. I take her plastic-faced man. Only once you snatch the plastic-faced man, Sang will know something is happening. The events will unfold very quickly after that. You'd best close out any pressing business you have before heading to Shek Kip Mei to see Shaoxi. You understand? I'll check my mission computer to see if I have any jobs that I want to knock out before hit at the MTR and Shep Kip Mei. Business is business, my darling. Kindly Cheng raps on the mahjong table with the imitation ivory tile, and business has been very good since you arrived. Oh, that's a bit of a warning sign. Am I about to hit the point of no return where the game starts to end? That's freaky, because that freaking mission computer is densely packed with so many, like, I don't think have I even done half of them yet? Huh. It kind of makes sense. I feel like I've explored a lot of what these characters are willing to talk to me about, and whenever I read about how long this game is, it feels like it's surprisingly short. Like, I think I've already taken a longer time to play so far than people seem to say this game is in length. I think I'm gonna take a look. I'm gonna look up what the point of no return is, just to make sure that I know what I'm getting myself into, because the completionist part of me generally likes to do all the crazy missions before I wrap up the game. Let's take a look. Alright, I took my look around, and yeah, this is it. If I go on the whole Dreamland quest, if I do anything related to this, I'm going to be immediately set on a course to the end of the game, and that's it. Which I'm not really psyched about, because I got other shit around here that I want to look into, right? Let's see, inboxes. Yeah, I still have 5 things in my inbox. I'd like to look into these at the very least. Just as a general rule, when I play quest-based RPGs on this channel, I kind of tend to do everything I can. So let's try to do this stuff here. Interesting, one of them is about Raymond Black. I wonder if that's even a quest. Let's see. Let's start at the top, though. Kindly check the handyman. Geomantic sabotage. Geomancy is a big business in the free enterprise zone. Here in Hong Kong, Feng Shui isn't just the act of rearranging your kitchen to make things look pretty. The fortunes of empires rise and fall with the ebb and flow of qi, and sometimes the flow needs a helping hand. Wuzing Incorporated are the preeminent practitioners of large-scale key manipulation here in the free enterprise zone. They've gone to great lengths to channel key from all over Hong Kong into their headquarters, an enormous monstrosity they call the Wuzing Sky Tower. There, it is focused and transformed into a good fortune through the building's geomantically attuned architecture and interior decoration. Our clients believe that it's time for Wuzing's good luck to run out. You are to infiltrate the Sky Tower and disrupt the flow of qi throughout the building, but you are to do so in 2 distinct fashions. First, you must disrupt the feng shui of the offices by subtly altering the environment of that level. This will consist of minor adjustments of desks, spilled water, and other small activities that are unlikely to be noticed. Ordinarily, even subtle disturbances in the nature would be noticed. That is why the client wishes you to make a much louder demonstration on the rooftop garden. The garden is to be ransacked, utterly destroyed, set fire to things, uproot the trees, that kind of thing. Our client has also specified that he would like you to destroy the large Buddhist statue in the garden Smash the thing to bits and leave them scattered across the rooftop. This level of distraction will keep Woozing's geomancers busy long enough that the more subtle disruptions below will take effect. In addition, it will send the kind of message our client would like Woozing to hear. I have utmost faith in your ability to cause destruction. The more disruption you can cause on both levels of the Sky Tower, the happier the client will be. As you're not a spellcaster yourself, it may be wise to bring Gobbet along. She will be able to see the most effective ways to disrupt the key of the building. Let's take that run. Good, contact me when you finish the job and I'll send you the cut of the payment. We're gonna go mess with someone's feng shui. Sounds like funsies. Alright. Let's look through more of these threads. Dear Lord, it's just spreading forever. This is Poetry Slam. Ladies and gentlemen, poets and Shadowrunners, welcome to the first annual Shadowrun Poetry Slam. There are no rules, and there are also no prizes except bragging rights. Without further ado, let the versification begin, Matrix Bard. How long do you think we can keep this going before the trolls show up, or sysadmin shuts us down? Why would they shut us down? It's a free board. We can be poetic if we want to. Just trust me, it happens. For some reason, these things always draw the worst kind of attention. Are you going to give us a poem, or are you going to stand there complaining about why you can't? Alright, I've got one. Wait for it. Synth muscle Sith links, neural booster cyber limbs, all fall to grenades. A little musing on the transience of life in the shadows. Very nice, sir. When the long shadows fall on Hong Kong, neon lights pierce the coming light. Tread with me, the velvet blackness. Let no lamp shine on our deeds. That one's entitled Our Hour. That might have been the most pompous thing I've ever read. Try this on for size. Lasers are red, shadows are black. With mad on the street, you'd best watch your back. Now you're mad. There's the trolls. They're here. My poem wasn't pompous, you uncultivated rube. Really? You're gonna fall for the trolls? Which is a little racist now that I think about it, because I'm a troll. In the homage of the Wang Wei, the famous Zhang Dynasty master of the Juju form of poetry, it's traditional, unlike that ridiculous limerick that you posted. Now, I don't think you have to take the word slam quite so literally. Hey, you people know the rules. Poetry slams have been out of bounds on this BBS since the Laughing Man debacle of 55. If you want to sling your fancy words, do it in a different forum. I'm shutting this down. Told you. Poetry bash. Oh, posy bash. Is this even the same thing? Alright, folks. We're trying again, this time under a super secret code name. There's no telling how long this will last, so let the bashing begin. Super secret code name. You just ran the words poetry slam through a thesaurus. Poetry people, not complaints. A thief on the run, a silencer in the darkness. The rat shaman lurks. Got one for the coyote shamans too. An unbound trickster. This shaman fears no peril, wily coyote. On a roll, Jivey. Here's another one, if mad can stand it. Pulses of light glance off bright chrome, translucent spheres encase my treasure. Mirrors and tubes and neon implode. Another day in the Matrix. Yeah, I can do traditional. I happen to prefer a haiku because less typing. Gossamer trusses, infinity in your gaze, very pointy ears. Extra points for using the word gossamer correctly in a sentence. I like elves. Jivebird is still on the master of haiku, in fact. Oh graveyard creepers, ashen skin, spindly fingers, and claws freak me out. Alright, Shakespeare's, this is strike 2. This thread is getting locked, and you aren't doing this again, got me? The board is for deckers who want to talk shop. There are plenty of other forums you can use for your stupid amateur poetry. I suggest you go find one. Can I find another one? Verse smack. Come on, come all, and welcome to what poetry could well be the last Shadowland Poetry Slam. I didn't say that word at all. That sentence right at all. There's something kind of sad about that. End of an era. In honor of Jivebird, I created an expert system that writes haikus. It takes whatever's being said in a thread and turns them into a poem. Mind if I fire it up? Snazzy, you shouldn't have. What kind of poetry slam includes bots? This is lame. Homage to Jivebird, the program stirs, turns out text 3 lines mar the piece. Haha, that's brilliant. Now I can hang up my quill. I really don't buy that a bot can produce poetry for a living can produce poetry like a living, breathing, feeling human being, sorry. This is bullshit. Despair grips the poets. A machine crafting haikus. The Jivebot breaks free. Is that supposed to happen? The slam is now slammed. This program has broken loose. Pandemonium. Well, look on the bright side. How much damage can a runaway poetry bot do anyway? You fucking people. Well, they got closed down 3 times in a row. Looks like any more poetry ones? I'm gonna go with no. Just a music topic. Alright. Oh my god, there's still a Decker's thread. Is there am I missing any other ones? Let's take a look around. I think that's the last one. So all those other ones were talking about a team looking for a Decker, and now it says a Decker looking for a team. I bet after losing their Decker several times in a row, this time they lost the Decker's the only one alive. Experienced Decker looking for a team to run with, potential for long-term engagement. I've taken over the business interests of a team of runners, running basic heists and occasional transport gig. I'm in contact with a reliable fixer, and will be working with the old team's long list of happy clients. Requirements. You must not take experimental stims during runs. You must not tamper with chemicals in secret labs. You must know how to properly operate a moped. You must listen to your Decker when your Decker says, I don't have control of that turret yet. You must have a sense of humor. Optional. So they all ran in just assuming he had a turret set up, and that entire team is now dead, probably. Whoops. That's a dark story. Hey, what happened to Give Me Some Nuyen 888? I recognize this ad. It's his boilerplate. His team was always looking for a new Decker. What the hell happened? You see the 4th item on the requirements list? Oh shit, that's nuts. All of them gone? Buff Top Ninja? Captain Scone? All of them. Even Explodey Sue. I hardly got to know them, but they were good people. What a terrible loss. You have no idea who you're running the shadows with, huh? Explodey was a great war hero, tough as nails. Could have tipped the scales for Taiwan if she hadn't knocked herself out with the force of her own mana blast in a crucial moment. No shit? Gets better. Muffin Top Ninja was one of the most revered martial arts masters in the GIS until his health began to fail. He was well known for his self-depreciating humor, and Give Me Some Nuyen 88 was a great philanthropist. Every credit he earned he poured back into helping the indigenous population of the walled city where he grew up. This sounds like what happens in every single BioWare game, and in this game and most RPGs, where it's like we gotta like pump up all the character traits of all these people that we're playing with. And Captain Scone, I kind of chuckled at his name, but now I'm thinking there's more to it. I'll say he was a Scottish separatist who campaigned tirelessly for the restoration of his country. When his activism drew too many enemies, he fled and became the pillar of the Scottish expat community in HK. As for his name, think Stone of Scone. These amazing people just couldn't catch a break, and now this. Rest in peace. I'm mortified. I wish I'd gotten to know them better. I wish I'd gotten that turret down faster. Seems like you knew them pretty well then? I suppose I do. I'm a Decker who responded to them in one of their first ads. My gut said not to join them, but we developed a lot of mutual respect over the years. I never thought I'd live to see one of their Deckers live. Well, although it would have made 2 Deckers, I don't suppose you'd like to team up. I don't think so, no. You did kind of fail them and get everyone killed. They're probably not in a big hurry to... It's not the best, resume. Come join me on a mission. My entire previous team is dead. Let's see, is there a clear way to switch between... Oh my god. I'm scared. Is this where they explain hacking? Keypad puzzle, solution clues... Yeah, this is basically where they explain all the crazy stuff. Oh my lord. Here's the tutorial. Oh man, this is terrifying. You could spend so long in this thing. So yeah, cyberware, Midger, Karma. At this point I've got most of the stuff figured out really. Well, that was a weird accident. Is there a clear way to switch between different quests on the screen? I'm wondering, like, can you take multiple runs, or do you have to abandon one to take a new one? It's weird because I'm used to games having like a mission list, and that doesn't seem to exist in this game in any obvious way, which is a bit of a surprise. Anyway, let's ask people about the last run before I move on. To the Racter. Racter's shop is curiously silent. As you step down to the grated metal floor, the sound of your own footsteps reverberates the echo chamber on the converted engine room. Welcome back, my friend. He leans against the deck. Is there something I can do for you? Quiet night in the shop, huh? Yes, a quiet night. He takes a drag on his cigarette. One best suited for contemplation, planning. Visions of the future. Any thoughts on the last run? An interesting diversion. The mummies that were encountered were fascinating. Dead flesh, reanimated by the controlling will of an astral being bound within. Of course, the notion that these creatures are genuine reincarnations of the long-dead humans is ludicrous. There is nothing innately magical about human consciousness. The soul is an antiquated concept rooted in wishful thinking. Thankfully, your deal has earned us the means to summon one of these entities. I should like to study it. Dissection would be the best, but given the circumstances, I suppose that external observation will do. Good work all the same. My notes will be the richer for it. Care to pick up where we left off last time? His smile widens, light gleams off a strong, sharp teeth, leading him a predatory appearance. If you like, I must confess, I have rather enjoyed our talks. It is good to have a sounding board to bounce ideas off. Funny, thought we were friends. We are. Please, forgive me if my choice of words has offended you. It was not intentional. I am by nature a solitary creature. I must confess that I sometimes forget how to interact with others. Koshei scuttles forward, mechanical pedipads weaving. Its motions are alien and charged with menace as they've ever been. Racter glances at the machine and takes a step back. He returns his attention to you with a smile. But enough of this maudlin talk. You have your questions for me. Go ahead and ask them, please. I will answer whatever I can. You said you sometimes forget how to interact with people? An idiosyncrasy of mine, I suppose. When I get lost in my own head, relating to others becomes difficult. He smiles apologetically. It's nothing personal, just a quirk that I occasionally struggle to hide. You've done a pretty good job of it. You've always been friendly to me. But when you come down here, we talk about things that are relevant to my interests. That makes it easier. In any case, thank you. Your kindness is appreciated. Last time we talked, you hinted at Koshei being special in some way. I want to hear the full story. Yes, I had figured you might. Tell me, have you noticed anything unusual about Koshei in the time we have worked together? It feels like he acts without you ordering him to, like he's semi-autonomous, maybe. He nods, his lips pursed. Yes, a good observation. Koshei could be described as semi-autonomous, though for a different reason than you might think. I'm waiting. The drone lowers itself, its killing legs splayed. Racter looks at the drone, his head cocked, then returns his gaze to you. His behavior is not drone-like because he is not a drone, at least not in the way you would understand. He's a prosthesis. Prosthesis? What is he meant to replace? He isn't meant to replace anything, but he does contain a portion of me, as surely as your brain sits within your skull. We are, in a way, a singular entity in two bodies, metal and flesh made one. You're gonna have to explain that. Koshei acts as a home for my primal animal impulses, the id. To use Freud's structural model of the psyche, the analytical portions of my mind, the ego and superego, live on in me. They govern the id, and, by extension, Koshei's behavior. When we're on a run, and I rig into Koshei, I do not command him to attack, rather I loosen my grip on his reins and allow him to kill. He wants to hurt, to dominate, to bathe himself in blood. Reproduction would also be a drive if such a thing were possible. So if you were killed, Koshei would what, run amok? He chuckles. No, my friend, of course not. Koshei is not capable of storing any part of a human mind. He simply doesn't have the capacity for it. If I were to die, he would fall dormant, the same as any other drone. One day, perhaps I will perfect him, and a part of me will live on in his chassis after the meat of my body dies. But for now, I am satisfied to live with him as a combined entity, man and machine, joined through a form of neural parabiosis into a single being. A beautiful first step into a post-human future. I guess, if I have to know a mad scientist, I'm glad he's on my side. He snickers. Well said, my friend. And the feeling is mutual. If I must associate with violent criminals, I suppose that I am happy to call them friends. Okay, so you've rigged your drone to act as a home to your most destructive impulses. I gotta ask, why? As proof of concept, primarily. There are other advantages, of course. I shouldn't have to explain all the value of a combat drone that wants to kill. Tell me why you think you're gonna beat the essence limit. You hinted at it before, but I want to know. I could do that. I have already shared quite a lot with you, and you haven't run off screaming. Good sign, I should think. He studies your face, peering at you through a gloom. But tell me, handyman, are you certain that you want to know? Some secrets are less pleasant than others. You might prefer to leave this stone unturned. Say what you have to say. Very well. There are things you don't want to know about me, my friend. Important things. What kind of things? For one, I am not, how you put it, whole. What do you mean by that? There was an accident when I was young. A shop accident. I barely survived it. I am very heavily cybered, my friend. You wouldn't know it because I kept my enhancements hidden. Others have found them disturbing in the past. Disturbing. The enhancements themselves are not the problem. The extent of the damage that they were meant to correct, however, that's a different matter. He uses the edge of his hand to trace a line across his hips. Everything below the mid-pelvis is replacement material. That's where I was sheared in half, you see. It's a miracle that I survived the experience. The bloodlots alone should have killed me. But here I am, alive and well. Greatly improved, in point of fact. You're saying you're half machine? Yes. The loss of so much tissue was traumatic, to be sure, as was the damage to my sense of personal identity, but it isn't so terrible as you might imagine. Every conceivable measure, I have been improved. Oh, by every conceivable measure, I have been improved since the time of the accident. I am more than I was before, not less. You lost half your body. How could that not be terrible? He taps his temple with his finger. The doctors installed stimulus generators in my brain when they repaired me. With these, I can mimic the full range of sensations that the human body is capable of producing. Imagine the ramifications of such a thing. The things you could do, the things you could experience, the implications for operant conditioning alone are staggering. Also, yes, I have lost the entire lower half of my body. The full ramifications of such a loss are obvious, but in return, I have gained so much more. At will, I could goad my brain into producing whatever sensation I wish. I could poke at the whirring of my own consciousness, and I could reroute that wiring as I see fit. Alright, so you're half machine. What does that have to do with the essence limit? He spreads his arms. Look at me, handyman. I have a shred of essence left in me. And only barely that. But I suffer none of the ill effects associated with traumatic essence loss. How can that be? A quirk of psychology. Long viewed as an illness, but never properly understood, what I now understand to be an evolutionary adaptation to a post-human future. We will conquer the essence limit, given time. Natural selection will see to it, and I am the proof. These stimulus generators you've been implanted with, how do they work? The technology is rather akin to SimSense, but considerably more powerful and flexible. Most SimSense experiences, those found in BTL chips for example, are structured around basic narratives that provide their users with context, but if you strip away the veneer of escapist fantasy, what you have left is an extremely powerful toolkit. And what have you done with this toolkit? He shrugs. A little of this, a little of that. I have toyed with a number of my brain's basic neurochemical functions, stimulating the experience of pure bonding by stimulating the flow of oxytocin, for example. But I must be careful not to overstep my bounds. Reprogramming the brain is a risky endeavor, however great the temptation may be. Ever heard of anyone else getting these implants? I know of a handful of other recipients. From what I've heard, the others are all driven quite mad. To be handed control over the inner workings of one's own brain is a tremendous responsibility. He shrugs. Perhaps the others were less well equipped to handle it than I am. Or maybe they've driven you insane too. Ever considered the possibility? Of course. Considered. And rejected. The corner of his mouth curls into a wry smile. Granted, I could be wrong about that. Perhaps I am mad. But then, what would that say about you and your willingness to associate with me? So what else have you been keeping from me? I know there's more to the story than this. There is, my friend, but nothing I can't wait till tomorrow. You have a lot to process, I'm sure. I would like the remainder of the evening to myself, but if you would come back later, I will finish the tale. Sure, Racter. We'll talk tomorrow. Very good. Rest well. Well, that was a hell of an information dump. He went from being a guy that has a cool droid that wants to talk about a post-human future to a guy who is half machine and a droid that's part person and other stuff. Am I even allowed to sleep anymore? I don't know if I am. Let's see. Yeah. I think the whole take a rest at the thing to trigger a next dream sequence is totally done. Wow, so if you aren't going completionist about this, is actually a relatively short game. It might still be relatively short in the long run compared to a lot of the other games I've been playing, but it's fairly short for sure if you're just trying to finish it. Here's Duncan. At the very least, I think my strategy is going to be, I'm going to talk to the people that were in my crew last time about the last mission, and then trigger any dialogue that happens along the way, and I'll try to vary my crew a little bit. Like, maybe I'll bring Gobbet and Gaichu around next time, because they haven't been on previous runs for a little bit. You find Wu sitting on the bed and staring at the floor when you come to his cabin. He rubs his head up and back, and occasionally stopping to softly bounce his palm against his forehead. When he notices you, he closes his eyes and shakes his head. Not in the mood to talk right now. Gotta wrap my brain around this Edward Sang thing. Tough finding out Raymond isn't who he thought he was. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was thinking. 16 years. We lived with him 16 years and we never knew the man. 16 motherfucking years. I just gotta work through this. I talked to him again about the mission. You walk in on a mess. Half-eaten cans of food litter the floor. Personal equipment is strewn around in a haphazard fashion. Amid the mess, Wu sits on his bunk and his back against the wall. He has a PDA in his hands and he's staring down at it, sullen and morose. He doesn't acknowledge your entry. You want me to come back later? Doesn't matter. He doesn't look up. Go, stay, whatever. I assume that you're here to talk. Come on. What did you think about the last run? Oh man. You remember the Megatrid movie we stuck into that one time? The one where the mummy took over Chicago. Yeah. I seem to remember you kept your eyes shut through most of it. He nods. That's the one. Completely freaked me out. I slept with the dumpster lid shut for a week. What a pleasure it was to go on a run that brought back such hideous memories. I still can't believe you made a deal with that thing. I mean, it was a mummy grotto. You don't make deals with mummies. He cradles his head on his hands. Fuck, I can't even believe I just said that. I didn't know the Shadowrunners dealt with crap like this. Can't say I'm a fan, Grotto, not even a bit. Anyway, enough about that. Need anything else? What are you looking on the PDA? A video of Edward Sang. Where'd you get it? Isabel dug it up. It's archive footage from the Walled City project. What's he like? Younger. I mean, it's from 20 years ago, but he looks a lot younger and rich and powerful. And his name is Edward. He glances up, his eyes are rimmed in red. You want to see it? Yeah. Fire it up. Sure, why not? He taps a button and turns the PDA around so you can see it. The footage shows a serious Chinese man in the expensive suit sitting behind a large, solid wood desk covered in blueprints. The man is holding a magnifying glass over one of the plans and studying it intently. He folds the blueprint over and checks the one beneath it. The name plate on the desk reads Edward Sang, Vice President of Special Projects. The video is rough and contains no sound. It may have been footage for a documentary that was never completed. The next shot is from some sort of planning meeting in a glass-enclosed conference room. The serious man is sitting at the conference table, pointing to a large map and looking up at the men standing around them. He is explaining something. They look at each other and nod, clearly impressed by what he has to say. The whiteboard at the end of the room bears the words, "Groundbreaking, 21st of May, 2022. Written in bold characters, Raymond's writing. The footage cuts to a scene of two people talking at the end of a long hallway. They don't appear to know that they're being recorded. It's a serious man listening intently to what an older woman has to say, nodding with his arms crossing and thumbs at his hips. The woman is the same one that was in the tapped video call that Kindly Cheng showed you, Josephine saying. She is somewhere in her late middle age, beautiful, and very clearly in charge. The two of you look up at the same time, see the camera. The two look up at the same time, see the camera, and begin waving their hands for it to be turned off. The woman appears to be angry but cold. The video ends, and Wu puts the PDA face down on his bunk. Wu shrugs his shoulders, searching your eyes. Who is that guy? The guy who cleaned us up, gave us a home. Not this guy. This guy's some corporate big shot. The man who raised me was a community organizer. He wore sweaters. Maybe when we find the plastic-faced man, we'll get some answers. Until then, Raymond Black is Raymond Black, and this guy is someone else. Been thinking about the way you and Raymond used to butt heads. What about it? Nothing. Never mind. Fine. Good talk. He pauses for a moment, scowling, then gives his head an agitated shake. No. You know what? It's not fine. You were going to say something. I want to hear it. You're a hothead, and Raymond's stubborn. That's why you always had so many problems with him. Yeah, that's probably true. You knew how to avoid conflict with a man in a way I never did. And you had that way of diffusing him when he started to get that intense O-ray thing he used to do, remember? Intense O-ray. I haven't thought of that in a long time. I think you were the one who came up with that name. It was like the summer after we started living with him and Mrs. Maloney. Ray found out that we hadn't followed one of his rules. I don't remember which. There was a long list. I think you were still smoking. Yeah, I think that was it. I was smoking and he was pissed and said that fat kids who smoke die faster. So just to be obstinate, I told him I liked to smoke, and we got into it. Then you came in and diffused the whole situation. Wu stops talking, his expression becomes thoughtful. I think that's why I was so resentful when you took off. Especially after Mr. Maloney died. After Mrs. Maloney died. You were the only one who could get through to him when he became intense O-ray. I remember the last time. It was when Double Trey got taken. I don't want to talk about that right now, Grotto. I've got enough on my mind as is. Stuff like that. Stuff like my father betraying my trust. He's in a good mood. A lot of emotional baggage to deal with these characters. It's almost refreshing to talk to Gobbet. And she's just like, I've grown up in the slums, but I'm cool with it. Everyone else is just so morose about everything that's happened to them. Isabel, want to talk about the last mission? Isabel glances up at you, her expression's grim. Handyman, I've come to a decision. I want these memories out of my head. They're an unpleasant distraction, and I was happier without them. When this is all over, I'm deleting them. To hell with locking them away. I'm going to purge my childhood altogether, shred the memories, and move on. As an added bonus, it'll clear up a lot of headwear memory. I think I could spare some SimSense recordings up there. Maybe make it so that when I try to remember the past, I get summers on the beach instead of sorrow and pain. Oh man, this is going to be problematic. So you want to replace the truth with the fantasy? Hell yes. You're damned right I do. The Avatar puts her hands on her hips, a defiant gesture. If you were in my shoes, you'd want the same. It's one thing to remove the problematic memories, especially when in this situation where you've already made the mistake of removing them and adding them back, and now they're replaying vividly in your brain and they're not fading the way memories are supposed to. Like, that's enough reason to maybe want to get rid of them, but replacing them with the fantasy is really problematic. That's entirely possible. I'm not in a position to say. You aren't, but I am, and I'm telling you, this is the way it's gotta be. These memories can still help us, so I'll tough my way through it for now, but when this is all over, they're going the way of the dodo, period. She squeezes her eyes shut, rubs the bridge of her nose between her thumb and forefinger. Anyway, I guess you're here for more questions, right? Let's get them answered then. Any thoughts of the last run? I always liked the old stories about robbing the rich. I dreamed of being like that when I grew up, you know? A righteous bandit like the ones in Water Margin or Sun Wukong. So I liked Wang's angle on the job. Break in, liberate some priceless artifacts, and get out. I can't think of any stories that involved angry mummies, though. That's a new one on me. I mean, I can guess I understand being pissed off if you've been trapped for centuries. That makes sense. But I'm not sure the deal you made with that mummy was a good one. What happens when it's free? Is it going to run around haunting people across Hong Kong? I just hope it stays the hell away from us. Anything else you want to know? I got a question about the walled city. Is there... go ahead. Alright, go ahead. Is there anything else that you can tell me about the Yami Kings? Yeah. I've got another one if you want it. I can't say whether this is based on any kind of truth or not. That's for you to decide. But it was always popular when I was growing up, especially with the other kids of my age. You'll see why we liked it in the end. You piqued my curiosity. Okay. This one is about a boy named Gordon Yam, and how he saved his mother from a fate worse than death. As the story goes, Gordon was the cleverest boy in the walled city. He could steal whatever he liked without getting caught. He could sneak into any dorm unseen, and he could talk his way past any grown-up that might try to stop him. You get the picture, a real hero figure for the 9-year-old set. So one day, Gordon's mother fell ill. It was a bloody flux, brought on by a curse, and it was going to kill her. She told Gordon he should accept her death. The curse had come from a Yama King, and there was no medicine that could prevent it from claiming her. She was begging him to run, to escape the walled city, and to use his cleverness to make a life for himself somewhere far away. Gordon loved his mother, and he refused to obey her request. Instead, he searched high and low for a way to save her life. For a long time, nothing came to him. But finally, he happened upon an old man who told him about a powerful Yama King that could cure any ill for a price. Which Yama King? One of the ones that you told me about, or a different one? Different. He doesn't have a name, or he did, but because of what happened, speaking it is taboo. The story's a little fuzzy on the details. We always just called him the Nameless King. So, Gordon went out in search of the Nameless King. He made his way through Triad territory, past the Thrill Gangsters and the Organ Leggers. You know the drill. Eventually, he made it to the inner walled city, where he found the Nameless King's court. The human servants of the Nameless King took Gordon to stand before the creature they worshipped, and Gordon proposed his deal. Nameless King, he said, I need your help. My mother is dying of an ill that only you can cure. That may be so, said the Nameless King, but what is it to me? What will you offer me if I spare her? If you restore her to health, I will join your court in repayment. I, the cleverest boy in the walled city, will serve you loyally and well. The Nameless King was excited then, for he knew of Gordon's cleverness and coveted the little boy's soul. Gordon pulled a braid of his mother's hair from his pocket and held it out before the Nameless King. A lock of my mother's hair, O King, he said. Cure her of this flux, and I am yours to command as you please. The Nameless King worked his magic, and Gordon's mother was cured. So what happens then? Did Gordon join the Nameless King's court? No. When the Nameless King turned on Gordon, he laughed in the monster's face. I have tricked you, Nameless King, for my mother was the property of another of your kind. In curing her, you have robbed a Yama King of his dinner. The Nameless King raged and turned on Gordon, his razor blade fingers flexing wide, but before he could bring his arm down in a killing stroke, it was caught in the grasp of 1,000 hooks, claws, and fangs, the Yama Kings. All of them. You have stolen from one of our own kind, brother, said the Yama Kings. Her life was not yours to save. Gordon slipped away from the Yama Kings as the Yama Kings descended on their brother. He did not watch as they tore the Nameless King apart and bathed in his streaming viscera. He made his way back home to his mother, who was cured, and that was the one time that a living boy outwitted a Yama King. She stretches, cracking her back. clears her throat awkwardly. And that's the story. Like I said, you can see why we liked it. It's basically a fairy tale, and the little boy wins in the end. It's the only story about the Yama Kings that contains even a shred of hope. What do you think it means? I don't know. Probably doesn't mean anything, it's just a story. You're the one who asked. Anyway, is there anything else you want to know? That's all. I've got to go. Sure, drop by anytime. Alright. Dear Lord, there's a lot of writing in this game. For something that's so short, that's a bit of a surprise. It almost feels like they've, I wonder... It kind of feels like they've committed to this annual schedule for these game releases. I wonder if they kind of ran out of time writing a story for this one, because this game basically has a setup of like, we gotta find Raven Black! And then at some point, you're just doing a bunch of side quests, and then at some point Kylie Cheng's like, it's this plastic-faced man. And then later on, she comes back after a while, and she's like, I found out who he is. And then you start that mission, and the game kind of starts to end. Like, that's the whole story, basically, as far as the main quest goes, which is kind of weirdly short-sounding. I haven't played the other two Shadowrun games, so I don't know if that's what kind of pace to normally expect from these games, but that seems a little weird for an RPG of this type. I can almost picture them having like, they had, like, what if they just had a whole bunch of side quest ideas for the Hong Kong setting, but they didn't have a fully fleshed out story in time? It's possible. Anyway, guys, I think it's time we picked up on this mission we picked up earlier, which is to... Oh right, we're going after the Feng Shui of that, the Wuxing building. This should be interesting. We're gonna go make a mess again, just like last time, except with less profit and more mayhem. So, travel to the Wuxing Sky Tower to commit geomantic sabotage, and I have to be careful not to click on that at the wrong time, or I'll just randomly start the final mission. Gonna have to properly read which one I'm going on. Alright, so, right off the bat, I feel like I should just always bring Isabel around in case she goes hacking. But let's do Red Samurai and Shaman. They all have their uses. Red Samurai is really dangerous in a fight, and the Shaman has really good healing ability. She has the ability to heal people, haste people, and that really cool ability to now create like a crazy poison barrier that could probably come a lot in handy.